Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and I suppose I sort of should be grateful because yesterday's Super Saturday technically saw 4 national finals take place, and the second one was in between Hungary and the next one that I'm reviewing, Denmark, but we're still not sure if the winner of that selection is actually going to be that country's singer, so for the time being I'm just going to gloss over them and jump straight over to, as I said, Denmark, who also was one of the 4 countries to do their thing yesterday evening. You know how the format works at this point. And this year, Denmark has chosen Leonora Jepsen, I'm gonna go with Jepsen, and a song entitled Love Is Forever, presented mostly in English. It's got about a verse or two of French, couple of words of Danish, couple of words of German. There's a lot of business going on here. Music and lyrics by Lisa Kabler, Melanie Weber, and Emil Rosendahl-Ley. So, something resembling an all-star cast, but then again I can't really say that because, I mean, yeah, Lisa Kabel wrote Only Teardrops, but then Thomas Steingart also helped write Only Teardrops, and I didn't mention that in the Germany review, so whatever, I'll not mention it here. So, that being out in the open, what do I think of this song then? I mean, to be honest, I was really focused on Adal yesterday evening, so I didn't really pay much attention to the other national finals. So, really, I had no idea what to expect from Denmark, or any of the other countries, but we're talking about Denmark for the moment. But whatever expectations I may have had for them this year, they would absolutely not match up with the reality of the song that they've chosen, and that's no bad thing. Because, good grief, this song is adorable, isn't it? Like, damn Denmark, or Danmark for short, when did you get so gosh darn cute? That said, right out of the gate, I got intense vibes that reminded me of the Swiss entry from 2011, In Love for a While by Anna Rossinelli. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad song to be compared to, so yeah, not much else to say other than let's take a closer look at what Leonora brings to the table. Well, can we please just take my first reaction and bottle it and turn it into a positive point here? Because, oh my actual stars, this song is adorable. I cannot even. It's so sweet, it's so pure, it's so well-intentioned, and I get it. Some people might look at this song and call it a cynical ploy to pluck at people's heartstrings with some kind of ulterior motive, but if so, I'm choosing to ignore that in favour of just going, ah, it's so happy! And if you know me, you know that I am absolutely head over heels a sucker for the sweet, the cute, the saccharine, etc. So I approve here. On a much more professional note, meanwhile, I do have to give due credit to the camera work of the national final performance of this song. We have one really long single take for a good spread of the performance, about half, only breaking form from that once the staging's big gimmick is openly revealed, and up until that point, that gimmick remains carefully and cleverly hidden. And I mean, if your camera work is so clever that it can keep a 20-foot chair in the middle of the stage a secret hidden until you want it to be revealed, yeah, you've done some pretty good work there. Next up, here's a really questionable point, I suppose, that I have to bring up. The song features the most prominent return of the Danish language to Eurovision since 1997, as well as a well-managed teasing of French and German mixed into the lyrics for good measure. Now, it might be just a little bit cliché to do the whole love is yes, Liebe ist ja, l'amour est oui routine, but I mean, in a song this cute, I'd argue that it only adds to the cuteness factor. No complaints here, they're trying their darndest to be adorable and it's working, and also, the song features a rather prominent pizzicato string line that keeps the rhythm steady and consistent throughout, which would be a good point unto itself because it's very effective, but the way they work that into ending the song specifically, that is, ending the song on a specifically punctuated single non-sustained pizzicato note, is a really well-executed move. It marks a defined, single, cut-off ending point of the song, rather than, you know, fading out or ending on a long, held-on vocal note or something like that. No, it gives a very distinct, psychologically good feeling to know that the song wraps itself up so definitively and so nicely, much like this section of the review. On the flippity flop of that, though, there's nothing wrong with being not so keen on this song. Just because I'm being positive about it doesn't mean you have to be. For instance, some people might look at how sweet and simple this song is and find it to be overbearing. There is such a thing as being too saccharine to the point of seeming patronising or insincere or just plain overwhelming, and the threshold for that does vary from person to person. Where I see an adorable 3 minutes of happiness, someone else might see an insufferable bulldozer of forced smiles. Your mileage may vary, and that is valid. That then also raises the question of the inclusion of both French and German lyrics, and to a lesser extent the Danish stuff as well. As I already admitted, to some people it can come across as a little bit trite and hackneyed, like those lyrics were only included to get people to pay attention to the song so they can say, "But look, it's got other languages in it." Or to give the song a really artificial appeal to non-native English-speaking countries. Again, your appreciation of it may vary. Now though, on a slightly less debatable point, for all the praise I lavished upon that camera work, I have to admit, even from my very first viewing of the performance, it leapt out at me that it seemed to really lose that tight focus that I was praising once the chair was revealed, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say on this channel. But yes, for a good minute and a half of the performance, we have that clever, well-managed, sort of tight, focused everything about the camera work, but then when we zoom out and see the whole stage and the giant chair, suddenly it just turns into generic Eurovision performance camera work mode, and that magic sort of leaks out at a rate of knots as a result. I'm not saying it has to be artsy-fartsy throughout, it's just a bit jarring as it currently is to go from carefully choreographed single-take art magic to we ran out of ideas, just get freaky with the spider cam. That transition comes across as a bit abrupt. But maybe I'm overreacting. I leave that to your discretion. Moving on though, in what appears to be a running theme of this week's Super Saturday, I would describe the whole ratings out of 10 business here to be a horribly tough call. I will go with a personal score of 8 out of 10 for now, because I feel like my thoughts on this song as a whole going forwards could easily go one of two ways, similar to with Belarus in 2017 to be perfectly honest. On one hand, I might end up doubling down on my appreciation of how bloody cute this song is, because I do love cute stuff, and I might end up going really hard backing this one, but then again, I might get sick of it, it might drop off my radar, I might dislike how long it takes to build up to its complete instrumentation. At this stage, I don't know how I'm going to feel with this one, but for now, it's sweet and nice and truly something a little bit different from Denmark, in a different way from the different that they were last year. That much at least, I definitely approve of. As for how I'd rate it as a jury member, meanwhile, I'm feeling another 8 out of 10, and for almost the same reasons. Almost. It's sweet and well presented, and to that end, everything it endeavours to achieve, it does very effectively. But then there's the small matter of its super sugary simplicity that is as grating to some people as it is endearing to others, not to mention her whole borderline creepy stare that lasts about as long as the single take segment of the opening minute and a half or so. There is potential here, and I do think that this song is one to keep an eye on for the moment, but that's kind of really all I can say about it for the moment. Stuff will happen, it's just a question of whether that stuff is good or not. We'll have to see. For the here and now though, is Denmark in a good place with this entry? Well, if you put it into perspective, take a step back, this and Higher Ground last year both show that Denmark, has taken a positive step in recent years. Note, this segment of the review is not whether I think this song is better or worse than last year's. I'm just saying, in the bigger picture, Denmark's past 2 entries have shown that they're ready to start carving out a unique identity for themselves on the Eurovision stage once again, after a couple of years of generic pop just to regroup, I guess. And that's definitely a good move. Once again, the Danish song, much like last year, stands out on its own enough to be recognisable against the backdrop of its competitors, for being its own unique thing. And I can only really praise that. But will we see Leonora in the final? I really don't know, to be honest. Genuinely, this year is so wide open so far that it really could go either way. Being as it is in the same semi-final as Norway and Sweden, so the six-pot voting system is doing its job marvellously by the looks of things, it's got at least some good chances to qualify, not because of neighbour voting or politics or any of that rubbish, but because if this is the sort of thing that's popular in Denmark, it will translate well to the current trends of the other Scandinavian countries as well. That's just how cultural boundaries work. It's not even politics, it's just anthropology at its most basic. Still, on one hand, Switzerland qualified with a similar song of similar tone in 2011, and that was Switzerland, who are a bit less favoured when it comes to that anthropology that I mentioned. But then again, that song barely qualified, and then it went on to come last in the final. Granted, its recap slot wasn't brilliant, but I digress. So, no, I really don't know what to think with this one, so I might have to turn to you lovely people for help. Amongst other things, let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about this song? Good, bad, somewhere in between? As ever, there's the poll in the iCard of this video. Vote in that if you're so inclined. Do you like the song? Do you not? Do you not really care? I would love to hear your take on things. After all, I can't predict all of Eurovision by myself, and it's the thoughts of other people that give me the insight I need to keep going. In the meantime, though, to Leonora, to the whole Danish delegation, to the population of Denmark in general, I do wish you the very best of luck and the very biggest of smiles when you get to the Eurovision stage in May. See you in Tel Aviv.